These people are getting sick down there. I mean, there are problems in Florida that'll be, I heard this with my own voice. This was yesterday.
In all 3 states that I visited, fishermen said that when they went out to work on the cleanup, that if they tried to bring respirators, they were told that that is unnecessary equipment and would only spread hysteria.
To see those images of people with respirators, BP doesn't want that hysteria.
That's exactly right. And when I went out with 11 people, we had respirators on, and within half an hour, all of our eyes were burning and our throats were closing, and we all had headaches with respirators.
BP is now spraying Corexit close or over populated areas in the cover of the night. As the oil approaches land, the EPA is not talking. We just confirmed that Wackenhut is in charge of security and are the ones harassing and threatening the media when they try to enter public areas to report. Shouldn't this be done by the local police, Coast Guard, or the military? But no, it is a private contractor doing it. Furthermore, when they are asked who they work for, they don't even answer. The EPA is not even answering a simple question. Is it legal to spray dispersants? Scientists and marine biologists are stating that the solution is 100 times worse than the problem. Also, I'm receiving email from people as far as 300 miles away from the area who say they are smelling the chemicals. Also, somebody else in a rural area has confirmed of the existence of these black vehicles, which say in red lettering, disaster relief.
Is it legal to have the dispersants in the water? Is that legal?
All I can tell you is what's going on the beach. I'm sorry, I don't know.
But is it legal? Well, I don't care whether it's happening or not happening. Is it legal to put dispersants in the water?
Like I said, all I can tell you about what's going on the beach. I can't tell you anything about that.
So if I got dispersants and put them in the water over there, you wouldn't arrest me?
Sir, all I can tell you about is what's going on
I'm
the beach.
just asking.
No, all right. So I need to get out and see what's checking.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
You work for Wackenhut.
I don't know anything.
Well, your shirt says Wackenhut. So that's the 3rd largest security company in the United States.
No idea.
Y'all are all retired CIA and FBI agents, aren't you? You don't know who you work for?
No.
There are the oil effects you can see and the ones you can't, like when oil compounds break down and go airborne.
We don't want to be alarmist, but we want to be realistic.
For several weeks now, the Federal Environmental Protection Agency has been tracking what's in the air by using a mobile truck and 7 monitoring stations, located mainly in St. Bernard and Plaquemines parishes. They are looking for evidence of several compounds, including hydrogen sulfide and volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, like benzene, which is commonly known as swamp gas. A normal level ranges from 5 to 10 parts per billion. At the Venice station on May 2nd, the levels recorded were 30 parts per billion. The next day, the reading was nearly 40 times that, at nearly 1,200 parts per billion. And the day after that, it dropped down to 46, before rising the next day to more than 1,000.
It varies depending on the wind direction, depending on whether or not they're burning the slick. I think what they're saying is that it's an okay exposure for a short amount of time, and we have a concern about that sort of exposure for any amount of time.
I've got to say first, before we even begin, I had the most heart-rending radio talk show on yesterday I've ever had in my life. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. I have never been moved as much. A radio talk show host in Orlando, Florida, called me, and he said, Chaplain Williams, you have got to be on my show immediately. I told him, I said, I can't, I'm too tired. I've been doing day and night with this. He said, you've got to, you don't have any choice. He had me on he asked me for an hour. He said, at least give me an hour. Now, this is Orlando, Florida. I said, why do you want me on? He said, Chaplain, I came down with a respiratory problem myself 1 week ago. He said, for the past 3 days, I have wanted to throw up all the time. He said, I felt so nauseated. He said, members of my family have problems. He said, people in Florida are upset.
I'm also going to ask people to start taking pictures of their skin rashes and blisters. This is coming in from surfers now and from the Turtle Watch volunteers as well as the workers. In response to this, Tulane University is deploying a mobile medical unit to the Venice area. And also we're working with Physicians for Social Responsibility to come in all 5 of the Gulf Coast states and Right now, what they're doing is counseling medical doctors, because this is not like an ordinary headache or flu. This is, chemical poisoning, very likely. It's not just tar balls that are washing ashore and moose. It's the invisible oil, the underwater plume that's coming ashore. It's surface oil, and it's also these vapors. There's 5 forms of oil that's coming, onto these communities and that the workers are experiencing.
There is major concern amongst the people. I went there so I could talk to the people. I haven't seen any representation on the news of anybody other than a politician or BP people or police. And the people are very concerned. The people there do not feel they have time. And this is everyone I spoke with in Texas, Louisiana, and in Alabama. And they are very concerned with the hurricane season beginning. They are very concerned that one woman's dad is a commercial fisherman. He's being paid right now to not fish, being told that he cannot take what are supposed to be the safe fish out of the water to even eat because they need them for restocking.
That's right.
Now, if there's any way that you can determine that these are safe and those are bad.
How would you know unless you ate it, right?
Well, they're in the same body of water. So, it boggles the mind. This is so widespread, and the impact for how many millions of people make their living on the Gulf Coast.
Isn't this amazing the way this happens right on top of this economic crunch we're in? And you get that feeling we're going to pull out of it, and then bang, something else happens.
You're talking about a 30% drop just because of the economy. What are you guys looking at this point because of the oil spill?
Well, it's kind of a slow-moving nightmare. As you saw earlier, it's just a pristine another day in paradise here. But our biggest fear is a slow-moving nightmare out here and the impact it'll have on, like the motels. We know our bookings are down some 30+%. And as you said earlier, this is a barrier island, and a lot of the homes are rental, condominiums are rental. That impact to these folks could put the nail in the coffin on our way of life here.
From people who are 300 miles away, and they can smell it. Some people are having headaches 300 miles away. Imagine as this thing continues.
We smelled it one night when we were leaving Grand Isle. It's the most toxic, rancid smell I've ever been subjected to.
Even as BP works to destroy or cover up the evidence of dead animals and decimated wetlands in the Gulf, it appears it is also working to suppress news of an unfolding human health crisis in the Gulf. BP blaming the headaches, sore throats, dizziness, nausea of first responders on fatigue, even on food poisoning, as we've heard, even as second-in-command Doug Suttles admitting the company's cleanup technology is not of this century. The Associated Press reporting yesterday workers were not given protective gear for the cleanup effort, and if they were, it was not the right kind. Marine toxicologist Ricky Ott warning on this NewsHour just last night of, quote, invisible oil, underwater plumes coming ashore, also affecting public health. Meanwhile, WOAI in San Antonio, Texas, reporting that doctors have apparently given a name to the emerging illness, calling it TILT, or toxicant-induced loss of tolerance. Those affected find themselves intolerant to everyday scents, household products, medicines, even food after exposure to chemicals and toxic fumes. The Louisiana Department of Health reporting over 70 people have gotten sick from the spill, 15 more in Alabama.
When the panic button is finally pushed, when it reaches that level, Joyce, that they can do nothing more except get people out of the way, then you've got your first problem of getting them moved, and the second problem is then how many of the existing law enforcement personnel will remain on site to do what they must do, considering they've got just like Katrina, they're going to have their own families to worry about. And what will the response be? Will it be just an absolute free-for-all on the interstates and U.S. highways going north out of the Gulf, or will it be organized? I hardly believe that moving potentially millions of people will be just a simple walk in the park.
Oh my God, man. God help us all. Sorry, man. This is really bad, guys.
Everybody in the media, MSNBC, Fox, CNN, CBS, ABC, all of them, are treating this like a catastrophe that is over except for the cleanup. I have news. It is not over. In fact, it may not even have begun.